And action.
Seehorn?
This intrigues me.
Godspeed. Seehorn?
That sounds about right.
The show is going to be called Pluribus.
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 Like
Okay.
E pluribus unum. E in Latin, out of many, one. And so pluribus means, I believe, of many. The I in pluribus is going to be the numeral one.
Oh, okay.
Represents you, Kat.
Oh, okay.
Rest assured, Carol, we will figure out what makes you different
Figure it out. Why?
so we can fix it. So you can join us.
And I think that's where this show started. It started off as an idea about wish fulfillment. I was working on Better Call Saul, and I would start to daydream about a character who got everything they wanted.
Let me guess. It's all beautiful scenery, and you feel nothing but contentment. It's like living inside a postcard every second of every day.
And then the show really became what it is when I hired a bunch of great writers to work with me. The best moments of Pluribus were group effort created moments. They came out of a bunch of like minds working together. I like that little bit of irony.
Hey, cheers to the best tour yet.
I wrote Pluribus for Rhea Seehorn. I really wanted to work with her again after Better Call Saul. And I knew this was a character who has a lot of emotions run through her over the course of a season. There's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of anger, bitterness, there's a lot of loneliness, there's a lot of fear.
Having to be kind and having to be happy and having to be palatable in public and feeling as though that's not truthfully you. Do I seem troubled? This is me happy. Carol is facing that, and I find that journey to be very interesting too, these questions of what happiness means.
I slept well at night knowing I had an actor, a number one on the call sheet, who could pull off all of these moments.
You don't think it sounds wonderful?
I'm not sure how functional I would be in a world where you literally told me I am alone in the whole world.
Yeah.
Rough. But I'd like to think I'd get back up, and I'm proud of her that she does.
I think you would.
I think eventually.
I think I would. I think it would take me a couple of weeks. The show would be longer.
It'd be like the first 3 or 4 episodes would just be like watching, well, even more Golden Girls.
Way more Golden Girls would be involved, for sure.
In the writer's room, we came to call her an insufferable hero. Like, she has heroic aspirations.
But know this, you are traitors. You are traitors to the human race!
But because she is also a little bit spoiled in her own way,
I don't want you waiting on me. I just want my sprouts back.
that's part of what I love about her too, is we didn't have to write a so-called, quote, strong woman, which has become a kind of stereotype on its own.
Anybody listening out there? Huh? How about it, you 12? Any response? She keeps rising to the occasion, and this exploration of what it means to be unlikable and to still find your center and keep going is something I greatly admire. And that she's still fighting.
Your books are an expression of you, and we love you.
No offense, Larry, but I think you're bullshitting me.
Oh.
A lot of times they have my character quite economic with language, not a lot of speaking, and we had an episode where I almost don't speak at all. They believe the audience is smart enough to be able to follow the story without being told what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling all the time.
It's something we learned on Better Call Saul, or I feel like I learned that. I had never experienced it before, that you could write in a stage direction something psychological, something that the character is actually remembering or thinking about, and that Rhea would radiate that through her face is quite a gift.
That was the best yet. That was awesome. Excellent job.
When Carol is looking at the grave that she's made for her wife, Ariel had written a very nice description of just what's going on. She's looking at this, she's feeling these things, but you don't know what you're going to get. And Rhea does this little thing where she's like, no, this is for real, this is forever. And she has a kind of, I miss you, kid, look that just goes across her face. And it's like, It's heartbreaking. Every time, even thinking about it, I get a little choked up.
Carolina Vidra plays Zosha, and she is an actor new to working with us. And it's tricky for her to play this role. It's tricky for anyone to play this role because they're kind of playing simultaneously 7 billion people. We got to somehow show all these folks and really portray the fact that this is a worldwide phenomenon.
Voilà.
Of the 3 actors at the table here now, you're the only one who plays one of these others. We call them others.
What's beautiful about each human is that we have our own thoughts. That terrifies me.
So you're thinking, for you
Yeah.
personally, this is a terrifying thought.
I think so, yeah. And I think I would act like Carol does, at first. It's just,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was a hard process finding Carolina for this role. We went through a lot of really wonderful actors. You explained something to me from a very smart actor's point of view that I hadn't grasped, how actors mirror one another, and she doesn't get to do that.
The others cannot mirror our emotions, and that's one of an actor's biggest tools is to play off your scene partner. That's where you get things that feel alive and present, not rehearsed, and the others can't do that. What the hell is wrong with you people? You would tell Carolina, like, you're aware of the pain that Carol's in and you care that she's not happy.
Yeah.
You just don't feel the pain. You're not, there's
That's what I was gonna-
sympathetic
yes,
but not
yes,
empathetic.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I
So
was like,
having-
that's very hard to do.
Oh God, you have to restrain yourself inside. And so it's interesting how it would affect me physically or mentally, not being able to go to you and help you.
Yeah.
Anything else we can do for you, just let us know.
What I've watched her have to do as they navigate who the others are has been just like mind-boggling to me. The challenges she takes on and rises to the occasion.
How many people died?
In the beginning, these people, these others, do not take on that kind of anger, even when it's directed at them.
This character, Zosha, is just happy. You have to be blissful all the time, even when someone like Carol is yelling at you or being rude to you. It's a hard role.
You're gonna need a pickaxe, by the way.
And to just be able to stay in that happiness and blissful way, that's really tough. Carolina, she just naturally exudes happiness and love, and she's got the most beautiful smile. She nailed it.
You told me you never played before.
Zosha's never played. But we have the combined knowledge of every living croquet champion.
As I was telling Carolina, you have all the information humanity has, all at the same time in one place.
Yeah.
But it has a body.
It has a soul and humanity.
You're soulless.
They disagree on this point.
We had a whole thing. That was hilarious.
I'm gonna beat all 7 billion of you. Yep. So, 7 billion butts about to get kicked.
Well, this is method acting at its finest, because your character doesn't think they have souls. But does that works that way for you as well?
They try to sell their stuff and it's not. That world doesn't work for me.
Manusos, ¿te podemos llevar? ¿Qué tal un poco de agua? ¿Estamos seguros que no quieres deshidratarte? Bueno, le dejamos para que pueda seguir.
I think Manusus, he doesn't want to lose himself in his values that he has. This is simply wrong. So he's fastidiously honest. This is the kind of guy who would never stay in his pajamas on a Sunday. An amazing strong will.
He's got a lot of scenes by himself with no lines. He and I both had no lines for long, long periods of time. So we had some really interesting conversations delving into that.
The Nusos we're introduced to is very rigid. As you go on a journey with him, you learn why he's inflexible or what he reacts to so much.
And action beat.
But he also has room to grow through that rigidness. When Manusos meets his hero, and his hero is in this like shishi cul-de-sac sleeping with the enemy, he has to kind of figure out how to make peace with that.
Bienvenidos to mi casa.
We knew from the experience of 2 previous TV shows that we needed our main character to live in a neighborhood we could control. So we decided to build our own neighborhood.
Welcome to Carol Sturka's neighborhood.
What guided this location was the view of the city and having that feel of remoteness and isolation as well.
This is an incredible 7-house cul-de-sac that was built by our art department and construction team.
Less than a year ago, it was just empty prairie land.
The locations department found several locations, and this one with the views that it has and the proximity to Albuquerque stood out.
Carol's house, we finished portions of the interior to take advantage of the views out the windows.
We've actually built it like 3 times. We have a second floor stage set, a first floor stage set, and then we also have the exterior set here, and they all have to kind of mesh together.
The landscaping of this was a huge deal. There's a landscape plan for each house with very specific pavers, rock, plants.
Everything got stuccoed, real roofs put on. The only thing that's lacking here is power and water.
It really worked in our favor as a production because every department has their own little house or garage that they can store things in, and we can bring stuff out.
The writers and I, we all knew that we wanted to do a lot in Carol's neighborhood. We wanted to land a helicopter out there. We wanted to throw a hand grenade through a window.
If we may.
We wanted to set off fireworks and set one of the houses on fire.
3, 2, 1.
You better not try to rent somebody's neighborhood because they're going to get tired of you really quick. We wound up shooting in New Mexico because I've loved shooting there for years, and I have a wonderful crew there that I never want to do without.
Hey, Mark.
But Pluribus is really kind of a global show, starting with the fact that everyone on Earth has changed.
Our lead character, Carol, travels across the world to try and convince them that they should join her in resisting this change.
So early on, the question was, where do we go? And how do we shoot in other parts of the world in a cost-effective manner, a manner that won't break our schedule?
All right, here we go, and action.
Luckily, we found Spain and the Canary Islands, which double for a great number of places that we can't portray quite as easily in New Mexico. But it feels like a global story, and so, you kind of got to go out into the world. Certain places we wanted to go, like Norway, we couldn't really get there just for one teaser of one episode. So Denise Pizzini and her crew built an ice hotel.
Hi, welcome to Helen's Ice Hotel.
The level of artistry of everyone in the show is pretty astonishing. When we all walked into that ice hotel and we were like, what? There's a lot of positivity there. It's really beautiful and fun.
Action.
The Ice Hotel was a huge endeavor. We had a whole series of conversations about what materials we could use.
Denise hired these amazing sculptors to sculpt, these koi fish out of styrofoam and create plastic blocks of ice.
How did I not realize that the bed would be made of ice?
But as with every scene in the show, it was a real group effort.
We are not talking to each other. We are a hive mind mentality.
It was a big question in the writer's room when we first started working on this show. What do the background do? What do these people move like?
When 7 billion people share one mind, they tend to speak in unison.
Welcome aboard, Carol.
And they tend sometimes to move in unison, and that's really tough for actors to portray.
Action on rehearsal.
We are very lucky to have a movement choreographer.
The bikini people, make that hard right.
A gentleman named Nito Larioza, who is really talented.
I think picking the right performers is key to every scene. You just can't pick anybody. I like to look for performers, dancers, bartenders are great because they're great at picking and grabbing things.
Actually, in the first episode, there is a sequence where the first folks to get changed, they are swabbing the insides of their cheeks, moving in perfect unison. And I was really nervous when I wrote that because I was thinking, I got to direct this thing. How do I make these guys all react in unison? And luckily, Nito, he nailed it.
Every rehearsal, we tweaked a little bit here, tweaked a little bit there, see what looks good on the lens. Once you can get all those ingredients together, it's movie magic.
One of the scenes I was proudest of this year was a scene set on Air Force One.
It was available to whoever asked.
big scene with Air Force One.
Yeah.
Built this giant set. It's 100 feet long.
Pretty incredible.
It's nuts on accurate down to...
Crazy.
It's funny, you call up the White House and you say, we'd like the complete blueprints of Air
They
Force
don't like
One.
that much.
Not so much. But there's so many photos. Our construction department created a superstructure for a section of fuselage of a real 747. Our producers went down to the boneyard. They've got a bunch of old planes. And they bought a big section of door and the surrounding skin of the fuselage of a 747. Mounted this thing in the air exactly how high up the door of a 747 would be. They surrounded it with green fabric.
Hello!
And then we shot this scene with people going in and out of this real door of a 747.
The big thing with these specific shots are the fact that, you know, the three parts of it, the foreground layer that we're shooting now, the CG plane that goes in the background, and the fact that the background is actually going to be shot 2 months from now in Bilbao, which may have different lighting conditions, and we'll have to make sure that the cameras are in the exact same place that we have them here in relationship to the airport at Bilbao. And all three of those different worlds have to align together. So we have to make really precise measurements about where everything is.
That's the outside of Air Force One. The inside was all created on a soundstage. They built this thing from scratch.
Ready and action.
Bonjour, enchanté. I am Kumba Diabate.
This is all based on extensive research. We tweaked the colors a little bit. We did a lot of research, but we decided to go with like blue instead of all these browns that they usually have. And then we did do these stairs. We actually got this railing out of the 747 that we bought pieces of to build the exterior. And then we have our conference room. A lot happens in here. We manufactured these ourselves and then, you know, built the walls, cut them in. These little foam cradles, also another real thing. All that woodwork is scenic finished. We wanted to get the perfect shine and sheen, and we found with stains we couldn't do that.
You guys are, I'm telling you, I'm so impressed with the work you did.
That's it. Like I say, we tried to get it as close to like the real Air Force One as possible, and I think we did it.
Oh, I like that. Give me a couple more like that.
I could not believe it when I walked onto the Air Force One set. It looked so realistic, just with all the details of the chairs down to the seatbelt with the emblem of the president, and it really helped me just step into this guy who has the most epic entrance of all characters, I believe, just coming on Air Force One, filled to the brim with supermodels.
Of course, what is Mr. Diabate without his magnificent wardrobe? And this is where Jennifer Bryan really outdid herself.
My wardrobe, as you can tell, is you know, not too flashy, not too showy.
In Sambra's case, classic tuxedo, but the material is an African fabric print. Yeah, that's my favorite.
And Mr. Diabate is like Cher. You don't ever want to see Mr. Diabate in the same outfit twice.
Hey, quiet. I think that's really important to show that no matter who he wants to be in this new world, he's still gonna remember where he comes from. And you see that with all the other characters as well, that there's hints of their culture.
It's very interesting and an interesting design challenge to have the same actress that I've worked so many seasons with and completely transform her. So when you see her in this new show, you're looking at Carol Sturcker, you're not looking at Kim Wexler from Better Call Saul.
That's one of the many great joys are the department heads here, all of whom I think I've collaborated with on Better Call Saul. I have Trish Almeida, who's the head of the hair department, who came up with the now iconic ponytail that I got a lot of questions about. And Sherry Montesano doing my makeup, and Jennifer Bryan doing costume design. All three of those people, we were really going for a very natural look in clothing, hair, and makeup. And I don't have to ask for a mirror when these three people take care of me. I know that they have my back.
Why save the world? That's your question?
Why does the world need saving? At present, the situation seems very nice.
Cool plane,
Really?
Happiness seems like it should be the end result, the thing you're working toward, but it feels like there's no forward momentum in the world when people are happy.
The best things in humanity happened because someone felt uncomfortable about something.
Yeah.
Right.
They're happy.
They're happy. If they're that content, like, does anyone strive for anything?
But that episode 8.
We have to share their gift with whoever else might be out there.
Do you mean building the antenna?
Yeah.
That's their ambition, is to spread it.
Basically conquer
Yeah.
the universe.
You call it pay it forward.
Listen to that.
But they want universal domination. But if you're dominating the universe, but everybody's happy afterward, are you nonetheless conquering the universe?
As we speak, no one is being robbed or murdered. No one is in prison. The color of one's skin, by all accounts, now meaningless.
As Vince does so well, there's a strong argument for the other side, you know, of just like, well, everybody's happy though, and everybody's serene. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm on Carol's side on this one.
In the meantime, let's just do it the way you did that last.
Working with Vince Gilligan, I've learned so much from him in terms of storytelling and for writers, what is important to them. And Vince is very, very collaborative.
We're just trying to give him everything he needs. I never want to tell Vince no. So we try to accommodate him, and he's always very accommodating to us, and he appreciates the work we do.
Hey, Phil and Mitch, you guys good? You listen to your actors and you listen to your crew, and if you're smart enough to do that, all these fun things show up like that you would have never thought to write.
Two things you've always said about that were one was you have to be confident to accept other people's ideas and not insist on it being only yours. And then your other one is if enough people tell you you're drunk, sit down.
Yes. That's a good one. That's a good one. I was able to get a bunch of people I love together yet again to create something new. I'm proud of the fact that this show is very different. Carol Sturka she's a hero. She's a curmudgeon, but she's trying to save the world.
You, and especially you, have the time of your lives.
Which is kind of different than the last two main characters of the last two shows. They're entertaining as hell, Walter White and Jimmy McGill, but they're not really actively engaged in making the world a better place. Carol Sturka is. I'm proud of that.
Please, let's work together.
It's really a show that's asking some questions about what happiness is. What is it to be happy, and what is it to be a human with other human beings?
We're trying like hell to make this different. It's a different kind of show.
It's very different. I definitely have enjoyed the ride so far, so thank you.
Thank you. And we didn't get to the story about you didn't have a banana till you were 8 years old.